Yeah.
Like, oh man, it's 7:05. It's fine, man.
There's still people trickling in.
Yeah. Totally different world these days.
It is.
Who starts, by the way? What are we in there?
You, sir.
All right. Glad I capoed up in tune. T-minus 2-ish minutes on our iPhones. I don't know.
No, we're on.
Oh, man. Well, welcome to the Mucky Ducks, live from Norfolk Street. My name is Matt Harlan. Here's Alex Coba, and we are glad to be here. Even though we had all of the requisite instructions, I still failed to look toward the lighted sign to see if we were on here or not. And we are live. So, I'm going to play a tune to start things off, I guess. And it's kind of about being on the other side of bad stuff, you know. Hopefully, you know, it's a positive kind of song, and hopefully it gets taken in that kind of way. But anyway, thanks for listening, thanks for hanging out, and go something like this. Streets are alive, the sounds of the morning, the hustling engine are off to the show. The highways are glitter, the skin of some dancer, the late night addiction, miles to go. And I've heard enough. It's a radio station that ain't saying much. It's just talking to talk. The curtains come up, we all take our places. Shuffle ball change through the tailpipe exhaust. Hard times and trouble are weighing on you. One way or another, it's bound to cut loose. Down by the water, it's time to get lost. Dance 'neath the trees with that old Spanish moss. I wish we could laugh like the clumsy old river that trips through the hills with his eyes on the moon, sings as he sways. The Lord loves a giver. We whistle along to a different tune, and it's a bow to the caller. Hold your arms wide as I turn for the baby, turn for the bride. We just work to keep working. It's a waltz to a waltz. We'd rather be dancing 'neath the old Spanish moss. Now the dancer, she's dreaming. Midnight confession, the smell of salvation, soft country wind. Jesus says, baby, life's a 3-chord progression. Pick it back up when it comes round again. Hard times and trouble are weighing on you. One way or another, it's bound to cut loose. Down by the water, it's time to get lost. We dance neath the trees with that old Spanish moss. It's other side of this crazy times we're living in, kind of looking toward better times sort of song, you know?
That's one of the first songs that I heard off those 3 records that I bought of yours.
Oh, nice. Nice. I had to fake the fiddle intro.
So I told they had a little Q&A in the beginning, and I told the story that when I first moved to Houston, I've been in Houston for about 9 years now, but I looked up the singer-songwriter rooms and who was playing where, and I saw Matt's name pretty much all over it. So I went on his website and I bought all 3 of his records that he had out at the time, and he emailed me real nice, and he's like, did you really order all 3 of these? Or is there some sort of glitch? And I said, no, I really did. I really ordered all 3. And
You meant to just get that one.
yeah. I clicked way too many times on all 3 of them. Didn't refresh the page, but no, I did. I bought them. Matt's one of my favorite songwriters, not only in Houston, but of all time. I've studied his stuff for a long time, so it's always a pleasure when I get to share the stage with my friends. My name is Alex Coba, and thank you guys for hanging out, and thank you for coming and listening and tuning in. And this song is called Jackie. Jackie lives in Tulsa for only half the week. Filled up like a beehive, her words stinging when she speaks. Some days she's down in Texas, most days she's in between. And I'd love her if she'd let me. She said love don't mean a thing. And Jackie, I don't feel right. I keep shaking with the sunrise. You used to look at me like the moon was full. Now you won't look me in the eyes. And Jackie, I don't feel right. I wonder if you still care. 'Cause every time we were home alone, babe, it's like you were never here. Jackie says that everyone dies a little bit every night. In the morning they're reborn, hoping today they can get it right. She boasts about the universe and how it treats her right. I can't wait to see the other side, but can't pick sides to save a life. And Jackie, I don't feel right. I keep shaking with the sunrise. Used to look at me like the moon was full. Now you won't look me in the eyes. And Jackie, I don't feel right. I wonder if you still care. 'Cause every time we were home alone, it was like you were never here. Now Jackie's back in Texas and her car is in my drive. Said she'd never leave, with leaving always on her mind. I don't know if she's coming back or if she was ever here. just a waste of time, and all my dimes, it's almost been a year. And Jackie, I don't feel right. I keep shaking with the sunrise. Used to look at me like the moon was full, now you won't look me in the eyes. And Jackie, I don't feel right. I wonder if you still care. 'Cause every time we were home alone, it was like you were never here. Every time I see you lately, it's like you're never here. Thank you.
Dig it, man. Oh. Alex, you know, it's been wonderful to get to know this guy over the past couple of years. Sadly, we at least missed a year due to all this stuff. But we kind of like actually started to, you know, get to hang out a little bit, and I was seeing all the stuff that he was doing out there in the world, and it was just always kind of wonderful because, you know, you see people running around who've got wonderful talent and stuff that sometimes folks don't take notice or whatever. So it was kind of cool to see him catching a breeze and stuff. And we used to get together about, you know, weekly-ish with some friends of mine here in Houston to do like a songwriters night where we would just hang out in my buddy's backyard and work on songs and stuff. And it became a real big thing for me personally to kind of get reintroduced to, like, what am I doing? You know, like, what am I writing? How am I writing and stuff? Because I was coming off of random difficulties and stuff where I didn't feel like writing anything. And but during that period where I kind of met Alex and stuff, I started writing a whole bunch of tunes. Ended up on this latest album, and we even like wrote a couple of the ones like during the songwriters nights for that one. And so I figured I'd play the song, which is not one of those, not one of the ones we wrote at the night, but they filtered into stuff, you know, and like give you like the overall feeling, kind of like shows you how, you know, you need that community to hang out and keep your wheels turning and stuff so that you know what you're doing. And this is the title track of the last album that I put out, and I recently put out a little acoustic version on it online because the real album version's like super heavy, lots of distortion, you know, and palm muting and stuff, and John D. Graham playing a very crazy, restless solo, you know, and a thing all over it. And people were like, well, you know, is that close to what you're doing? I was like, yeah, that's what I had in my head, you know. And like, well, what does that sound like when you're playing it acoustically? I said, well, I don't have that, so I put it out, and it sounds more or less like this, I guess. Pick me up and take me for a ride. Flip me over like a 45. Drag me tumbling through the riptide. I need to look the way I feel tonight. Fucked up and twisting on my axe of sand. Inhaling lies to find the truth in them. Strung out on pills that feel like heroin. Man, I'm no different than you. I am no different than you. Lit up like gods are barely getting by, concealing secrets from a darker side. Pure demand wrapped up in infinite supply. Man, I can't stop it, how about you? We are no different. From West Virginia to the Golden Coast, thin-skinned and howling on the radio, no single one of us immune. Who's got you certain of the world you know? Half stitched together where the seams all show. no single one of us in tune. But we're just trying to be the best beast we can be. The best beast we can be. The best beast we can be. And find a way to sleep. The best beast we can be. Best beast we can be. The best beast we can be. Don't dig too deep. Hanging on the ships that sailed away, pretending things should always be this way. Future's coming for you soon. We're all so certain of the world we know, half stitched together where the seams all show. No single one of us in tune, but we're just trying to be the best beast we can be. Best beast we can be. The best beast we can be. Find a way to sleep. Best beast we can be. The best beast we can be. Best beast we can be. Don't dig too deep, you'll see. Best beast we can be. Thanks, y'all.
I love the way Matt writes. He always has these very profound messages, and most of my stuff are just about dumb things I did in relationships that made them not work out.
Oh, that's profound, man.
Yeah.
Somebody needs
There's something
that.
to be said about being self-aware, I guess.
That's right. Somebody needs that somewhere.
Yeah. But I did. I had a girlfriend at a time, and you know, I always say songwriter with a girlfriend means you're not homeless. And
That's right.
she, you know, I was in a band, you know, and just traveling around a whole lot, and just kind of all about that. And a lot of songwriters, I come to find out, come from bands that didn't work out.
True.
They're like, it's cheaper just to do it on my own anyway, whatever. But I wrote this song just to get myself out of a little bit of hot water. I remember coming home and just saying the wrong thing, you know. Fine, you know, songwriters say the wrong thing to a girlfriend all the time.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
Seems like we are immune somehow from that. But
Yeah,
that's
you
not
would
true.
hope so, but nah.
No.
But yeah, this song I wrote it, started writing it for her, and just kind of I understood what it was, having somebody that was out on the road all the time. And you know, I grew up with a lot of family members that were driving trucks and traveling around and doing all that, so it was just about being gone and having a complete understanding what that means to the other person. You the one I met out east in Carolina. Green eyes, a golden heart, and a gypsy soul. Taller than the pines up on that sugar mountain. Sweeter than the waters flowing in the Roanoke. You don't have to tell me that I've been on this road too long. You don't have to tell me I should be home before your memories are gone. You're the queen that I left high in Colorado, raining over me on top of Castle Peak, drowning in your blue eyes there in crystal water. Never thought that I couldn't bring myself to leave, so you don't have to tell me that I've been on this road too long. You don't have to tell me I should be home before your memories are gone. When who you are to me gets lost when I'm out living in this in-between. You don't have to tell me, already know, don't tell me. Like the one I held down south in sweet Savannah, my southern belle I gave him ring, sold my last suit on a whim and a broken promise, to try to give you all of me and everything you ever could have wanted. Don't tell me that I've been on this road too long. You don't have to tell me I should be home before your memories are gone. I should be home before your memories are gone. Thank you so much.
What a beautiful tune, man.
It held for a little while, and then I came home the next weekend and just messed it all up again, probably.
Oh, as a thing, a song cannot stand in for your actions. You know, it's you try as you may, try as you might. You know, you're like, but do you remember when I said that thing? It's like,
I know.
Words, actions, different things. You know, it's like, oh man, I didn't realize that whole logic existed.
Yeah.
I got a couple of songs about traveling and being gone for sure, and some kind of struck me more than others. At least these days, I was lucky enough we had a baby right before the pandemic started, which is you know, kind of a blessing in a lot of ways, you know, because you know, you're already planning to be at home. You're already planning to not really go out much until they get some kind of immune system and stuff. And so we were like, all right, this is great. And in my case, like, I canceled a bunch of shows already. And so I was like, psh, it's great, you know. And then we didn't necessarily figure it would hang on as long as it did. So, you know, whenever we were done, we were like, oh, okay, yeah, time to start playing those shows that we booked and stuff. And they're like, oh, no, we're not doing that anymore. I was like, oh, wow. But the plus side is that I got to spend a whole lot of time with my daughter, who is now just over a year old. And I had written this tune, you know, about a truck driver who was out on the road, you know, kind of looking back at his family and stuff, because I was maybe too scared to write a song about what was actually happening with mine at the time. You know, it's like, oh, I'll just put that on somebody else and act like, you know, that doesn't really happen in this songwriter world. But the truth is, it does, you know. And but it's nice to put yourself in another character and try to speak some truth that maybe you wouldn't speak as loudly if it was actually yourself. But strangely, this song didn't come true as much for me yet, so I'm kind of glad about that. I guess eventually it might be the case, but hopefully, you know, I'll figure out how to finagle it and make my actions speak differently than my words. But we'll see if that works out or not. Because as we've heard, it doesn't always work out. Drop it down another gear. Roads are slick this time of year. The curve will come up quick, send us flying. You know I've been around, traveled up this way and down. No rush out here, it's worth the chance of dying. The tracks are flat and worn, so let them guide you. The scars will leave a compass on your skin. You will find a higher place that you can climb to, just to leave a trail to show them where you've been. See those smooth spots on the wheel, that's experience you feel. White knuckles gripping down and holding tight. Stayed on the road for days, truck stops and KOAs. This dashboard picture got me through each night. The edges rounded down, the image faded. Two children and a wife all hand in hand. My place behind the lens, insinuated by a shadow and a footstep in the sand. But don't it all seem to pass like a spring storm on the glass? If you weren't there, you'd swear it never rained a drop. But outside looking in is where we're left to start again. Grew up before I knew it, and now I wish that you just stop and drop it down another gear till the dark clouds disappear. Just to think how your mother'd end up crying. You know I've been around, traveled up this way and down. No rush out here is worth the chance of dying. So, had to write that because all my friends had songs about kids, and I was like, I don't got a kid, but I should have a song about a kid.
I think that one started at one of the backyard.
You know, that's very true. Totally, man.
Yeah.
I mean, on this stage here, I heard Hayes Carl say something about like, oh man, you know, I worked backward into this whole like fatherhood thing. It's like I already had a minivan and a wife, and then I was like, because I had to carry a band around.
Yeah.
Eventually, had a kid.
So you have the big van when you're in the band, then you get rid of it for the small car when you're a songwriter, and then you got to go back to the van when you start having kids.
Exactly, that's the thing. So you might just hold on to it, you know. It's nothing rolling off the lot, you know.
I wrote this one with a buddy of mine, Mr. Scott Sean White, and this is one of those. We were in Red River, New Mexico, at the Red River Songwriters Festival, and we were thinking about ideas for songs, and he's like, man, you got a lot of like sad relationship songs, but have you ever just wanted to be like, wasn't really my fault? I was like, yeah, sure, I guess. I said, it's totally you, not me this time. But he helped me put this one together. He's an extremely talented writer. I'd love to have him out here at the Mucky Duck sometime. He's got a new record out, and he's releasing singles right now. So Scott Sean White, look him up. He's out of Poetry, Texas.
Oh, what a wonderful place to be for.
Yeah, for a songwriter. Yeah. said I never bought you roses, standing there bleeding from the thorns. You said I never threw a party for your birthday while I was sweeping up confetti off the floor. You said I never took you anywhere, stepping off the plane back from Mexico. You said I never wrote you a love song while it was playing on your radio. So when you packed that U-Haul up with 5 years, 8 months, and 3 days of us, didn't help you pack but didn't hold you back, you finally got something right about me when you said I never told you not to leave. I gotta admit it kinda hurt, staring at the truth, who wouldn't know? But right then I knew there was no pleasing you, so I had to give up and let go. So when you packed that U-Haul up with 5 years, 8 months, and 3 days of us, didn't help you pack but didn't hold you back, you finally got something right about me when you said I never told you not to leave. So when you packed that U-Haul up with 5 years, 8 months, 3 days of us, didn't help you pack but didn't hold you back, you finally got something right about me when you said, yeah, when you said I never told you not to leave. Thank you.
Man, oh man, yeah. No, it's tough to write that song about, you know, on either side for sure. But you know, like if you got any kind of, you know, feelings and all, you know, you're like, oh, how do you write that "I'm Right" song? You know, like that's weird. You know, I mean, it's just as weird as writing the "You're Wrong" one. You know, because you still gotta confront so many things, you know.
There's no coming back from writing the song that I'm right and you're wrong.
No.
There's some coming back if you write the song like, I'm sorry, baby.
Right. Exactly.
It's my fault. You know.
Yeah. But if you write the "I'm Right" song and you're wrong, oh, you're screwed.
That's it. No coming back.
There's no way. There's no way. Well, a buddy of mine that I've written some songs with, he and I tend to write stuff like over text message. Like he'll send me something that he's got an idea on, you know, late at night or something, and it frequently just like a word, a line, or something. You know, I'm like, I get that, but it's strange, you know. Like some people have like collections of words that they put out that have like more to them, you know, than you would think exist within there. You know, and some people just have that, and it's like it's not that the message itself exists in this like poetic realm. It's just that like the underlying content is like, oh yeah, you know, like that's a song, or like that's something that we should write about, you know, and it like carries like emotional content and stuff in it. And so we wrote a tune on my porch for this last album, and then we had been kicking that one around for a minute, and he finally came over and we sat down and knocked it out, and then we were done, and we're like, I mean, it's still early. You want to write another one? So we literally just like kind of knocked this other one out almost as an afterthought, but it is anything but, and in terms of the content, as far as I'm concerned, and I really dug it, and just to give it a pandemic tip, I was supposed to quit smoking, right, because of the whole baby thing, and the pandemic freaked me out a little bit, and I didn't quite do that, so I've lowered this song a half step from when we recorded it. And I only found that out the other day when I was preparing for this set. I was like, oh man, I can't sing that shit in the same key it was actually supposed to be in. But that lets you know I prepared at least that much for the show, you know? Anyway, but yeah, a tune of being I'm right and not caring whether there's any response to it, because sometimes it's just like you sing it and you drop the mic and you get on down the road. Let's see. Yeah, she's lying alone on a Thursday, hiding out beneath the cheap hotel lights. And she's learning how lonely the evening can be. The wrong moves all start to feel right. Yeah, there's coffee for two and a TV. There's breakfast at 7 a.m. Then she wakes up and streams as her black and white dreams start turning to color again. The truth can move through you like lightning, and the lies fall like ash on the ground. Then the storm passes through and you open your eyes and look for a way out of town. There's her Bible there on the nightstand. There's words she could tell you by heart. When the wind slapped her face and her eyes filled with rain, a young family falling apart. It's down at that same dirty crossroads where the soul and the mind can't agree. When to bear down and fight or cut clear through the night with one last ounce of courage to leave. Yeah, the truth can move through you like lightning. The lies fall like ash on the ground. Then the storm passes through and you'll open your eyes and look for a way out of town. Barefoot and kicking up cinders, yeah, she's still learning how to be free. When the sun's on the rise and the clouds all surrender, it's time to get up off your knees. Yeah, the truth can move through you like lightning. The lies fall like ash on the ground. Then the storm passes through and you open your eyes. Look for a way out of town. Yeah, the storm passes through and you open your eyes. Look for a way out of town. So, first time I tried to play that song in that lowered key, so excuse me, if it messed me up a little bit. But apparently, better than it would have been. But you guys, we can keep these live streams coming from the Live from Norfolk series if you guys become a supporting member of it. I mean, these guys do a whole lot to maintain this streaming thing by, really investing in all of the techniques and things that folks don't necessarily always do. So you can check it out at the live from norfolkstreet.com and figure out what you can do to assist with that. Because as Alex and I were talking about at the beginning of the show, this place was kind of like a touchstone, pretty much for anybody who moved to town, who wanted to do any kind of songwritery kind of stuff. It's like, what are you going to do to help meet other songwriters, to help understand how to do your stuff, how to get better, play on stages, whatever, go see people who you admire. And it was, frequently come to the Duck. And so one of the things they've shown throughout all of this stuff is that, conversely, they are here for the folks that were doing all of that and have, juked and moved with all of the stuff to figure out how to keep things rolling. And so it's kind of imperative that we support venues like that of all kinds that are really making the efforts to stay alive through all this stuff that's kind of challenging everybody. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I agree 100% with what Matt said. So thank you everybody for coming and hanging out tonight, and then everybody that's live streaming it. And please come by if you are in the Houston area and grab some of the awesome food. I do the curbside service is still rocking.
I don't live anywhere near here, and I came here to get lunch.
It's great food, but
stuff.
Without this place, I wouldn't have met Matt. I wouldn't have known a lot of the songwriters that I do, and I definitely wouldn't be sitting up here right now. And I'm excited to see what the next couple years bring, and a lot of new songwriters. Really, people are coming to Houston, and they're coming out to the open mic, and they're coming out, and they're trying to get on the stage, and it's exciting. There are a lot of talented people out there.
They got things to write about.
They do, yeah. Yes, the material's definitely out there now after all this. When I wake up in the blue light of the morning, somewhere between my first and second coffee, that's when I start to miss you. Still can't sleep on your side of the bed. When I gotta leave the house and go for that afternoon drive, hit the brakes between a yellow and a red light, I'm still reaching for you and praying to God we can make it out alive. And it's times like this I'm tired of being lonely, scared to death not knowing if you're fine. And whoever he is, he better love you like I would if you were still mine. When the sun starts to set and it glows on your side of the couch, I find myself still looking for your pretty little smile, and I start to break down, not knowing if I'll see it again. And it's times like this I'm tired of being lonely, scared to death not knowing if you're fine. I would if you still mine. So I sold that bed and I wrecked that car, finally put that couch for sale out there in the yard. 'Cause at times like this, I'm tired of being lonely, scared to death not knowing if you're fine. And whoever he better love you like I would. Yeah, whoever he is, he better love you like I would if you were still mine. Yeah, if you were mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's see. I'm gonna try a dangerous thing and try to play one of the songs I've written during this pandemic times. That you know, it's funny. We used to play these songs out, you know, as practice at like open mics and stuff, you know, and shows and sound checks and whatever, and then.
You were able to road test a lot before.
Right. No, yeah, you could totally, like, you know, put it out there, you know, before you really put it out there and stuff. And now it's like, well, I played this song twice, you know. Like, it's kind of weird, but, you know, I'm going to give it a shot. Anyway, I feel like, did I make myself some notes on this one? No, I think, I know I wrote a different song. Maybe I'll play a little bit later that I did change the capo position on. But this one, I got to say, when we used to play out on Fridays at the back porch there as the Front Porch Society, which was, you know, I don't know if that name existed before we started playing on the back porch, or if it was just like some kind of, you know, comical thing. You know, I don't know who came up with that name, but they were a wonderful group of guys, that I still keep in touch with, most of them, almost all of them. And we lost a real good one this year, you know, and he was just a stellar dude, you know, always had a smile for everyone, and just looked at the world in the most beautiful way. And it wasn't a COVID-related thing. It was a long time deal that we saw coming. But, you know, it was still sad, you know. I mean, even somebody who looks at, you know, life so wonderfully, when they pass away, you're like, oh, man, we lost that, you know. We lost that light, you know, that sort of thing. And I don't know. He emanated these things that would cause you to feel a certain way and look a different way at a situation that was confronting you. And so when he died, I was sitting there on the weekend, and it was a dark, stormy weekend, but still somehow, you know, I was feeling sad as hell, but, you know, I was hearing these words of, like, you know, positivity and stuff, and that was totally Ben's thing, you know, just to kind of be positive through everything. So we'll see if I can remember this tune, because, like I said, I played it like a total number of maybe 2 or 3 times, you know, as I was writing it, and then, but I got to send it out to Ben Hall and Rebecca, his wife, and all his kids, who used to play countless Fridays back on the back porch here, and hopefully I can do it justice and remember the words. Anyway. Let's see. I'm always looking at the sky. That's why I love a cloudy day. Sit and watch the world roll by. Hear the sound of children playing. I don't believe we ever die. Just linger on in the shades of gray. That's why I'm looking at the sky. Why I love a cloudy day. So say a prayer, Light a candle if you're so inclined, and I'll be there, singing softly for your worried mind out in the by and by. I'm always talking to myself, that's why I love a crowded room. Nobody hears your private hell, nobody stops to look at you. I sit and share my cup of woe with anyone who's passing through. I'm always talking to myself, that's why I love a crowded room. Say a prayer, light a candle if you will. Oh, it's getting dark, see the shadows standing still there on the windowsill. So if you're looking at the sky, make sure to sing out loud and free. I'm up there slowly rolling by, down there looking up at me. So say a prayer when all the lights are turned down low. Oh, and I'll be wish you peace in any language that you know. When you're looking at the sky, make sure to sing out loud and free. I'm up here slowly floating by, down there looking up at me. Up here slowly floating by, down there looking up at me. Working on it, man. Thanks, you know. Like I said, that's probably try number 4 of playing it at all.
That's the worst, when you have really talented friends and it's like, I'm working on it. Like, God.
But no, it's for Ben Hall. He's a wonderful guy that we lost too soon, who was kind of the spiritual leader of us front porch society guys out on the back deck back in the day when I first got introduced to the Mucky deck.
I really love Matt's guitar playing, and we were laughing about this earlier. Matt and I have shared the stage before, and I got invited to play this wine festival in Wharton. It was on the square. They had this big stage. They're gonna have this Texas country band come and finish out the night, and they're like, all right, we need some songwriters to kind of kick off the day, and it's super windy, and I'm like, oh man, I know who to call. So I called Matt, and he drove down to Wharton, and he met me out there, and we're playing this stage and kind of making sure that the mics aren't blowing over. We had this like 30-mile-an-hour wind coming to our backs. And Matt, being the nice guy that he is, I was like, hey, man, I know how talented he is as a guitar player. And I was like, hey, if I'm ever playing and I just kind of give you that look, jump in there, do some cool shit. And he was like, yeah, man, you too. If I'm playing something, I'm like, Matt, I'm not really that kind of guitar player. And he's like, no, come on, you can do it. And I'm like, no, Matt, really, I'm telling you, I can't do it. And he's like, nah, you'll be fine. So he starts playing this song, and he looks at me, and I'm like, here it goes, Matt. And I start playing, and then he turns around and looks at me. I was like, I told you, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna stand here and drink beer and listen to you. But when you're swapping like this and you have somebody as talented as Matt, you forget what you want to play next because you're just in it. But I'll play this one. I wrote this one like I said, we were talking earlier, I've been in Houston for about 9 years now, and I think I earned my stripes by experiencing the tax day floods and Harvey, and, you know, I'm like, I'm Houston now through and through. So, but I was in my house when Hurricane Harvey decided to visit and not leave. And you know, you want to write these songs, and you really, when you're put in a position like a pandemic and you're at home with a baby and you're trying to figure it all out, or you're in a house where the power's out and the water's coming all the way to the door and then it kind of goes away and comes back, you're like, all right, I think I'm gonna write that non-sad relationship song where it's like hopeful, right? Because you're just kind of hanging on for dear life, and that's kind of how I approach this one. I remember, it's fresh on my mind, the kind of storm that could hit you in a moment, change your life. How could we ever have seen it coming? I said, don't worry, take my hand and we can make it out alive. I will be here when the clouds clear in the morning. I will hold you as the water starts to rise. I could feel it, the flood coming. Your love rushing over me like a wild river. Fireworks and lightning were ringing in the new year. Still that sky went dark and the world seemed to disappear. You were the only light before me, the kind of beacon I needed to help me weather the storm. And I will be here when the clouds clear in the morning. I will hold you as the water starts to rise. I could feel it, the flood coming. Your love rushing over me like a wild river. And when the water breaks the levee and it's too high to go alone, pull me in and hold me close. We can always make it out when the water comes rushing in. There's no one else in the world I'd rather be swept away with. I could feel it, the flood coming. Your love rushing over me like a wild river. Your love rushing over me like a wild river. Thank you.
Dig it, man. Let's see. I wrote some notes. I haven't been sticking to them, but I did. I told myself I was going to play some kind of certain songs, and then I play like half of them. So let's see. What about, I don't want to be too weird. How about, well, okay, so this song, I put out an album, very first one, and I developed a relationship with this other venue in town, which was the first one I had gone to, and I told them I was going to release it there. But I really, really wanted to do some stuff here. And so I put together like a ragtag band because I didn't really have any kind of band at all. I was like, do you play something close to drums? And they're like, hey, yeah. I was like, cool. You have like kind of a kit? It's like, sort of. I was like, all right, you're the drummer.
You're the drummer.
And but you know, we got things together, and before it was almost like a rehearsal for the other show. I feel like it might have turned out better than the other one. And then eventually they let me come and do a CD release party here for a different album. But you know, the first one we're still testing that sort of thing out. So I did a pre-release here. But this is the title track of that album, which was, you know, basically written when I moved to Houston. Like going like, what do you do? You know, you guys are crazy. You songwriter people that live here, y'all are awesome. But what? How do you do this? You know, like I was taken aback by all the sincerity and like appreciation that there was for songwriters here in town, because I didn't know anything about the history. You know, it's like I didn't realize that there was like this was a big deal in the 70s. You know, and like Guy Clark and like Towns and like all these folks, you know, came through here, and you know, Shake Russell and Dana Cooper. You know, all these folks were doing all this stuff and supporting this deal that people were looking to, and that it was part of that. And I had no idea. And so I got schooled when I moved here, and I started talking to folks, and I started putting together ideas and stuff. But still, this is a song about me trying to act like I was trying to be this guy named Jonathan Bird from North Carolina, because I had met him at Folk Alliance, and I was like, that guy, I love that guy, you know. And I was still I was like interpreting what it would be like if I had found out about him from being from some nowhere North Carolina town, rather than him finding about all of us Texans being from some nowhere North Carolina town, and what would happen if the shoe was on the other foot. I think it's kind of meta, but that's sort of the idea behind it, I think. Last night I dreamed again about North Carolina, coming down from the mountain, coming in from the cold. And I had me a hound dog, and I had me a banjo. We could lay it down double time, play all night long, singing songs about old John Henry and all those rails that we had to drive. Oh, and all the while there's a steam engine rolling behind, and then those sirens, they caught me sleeping to their long and moaning sound. And I'm just living on tips, compliments that dive on the east side of town. Now the bars are all closing, but I ain't quite yet tired. Pick up my banjo, lit out for a drive, and I roll down the dirt road as I roll down the window. Swing low on the radio, and I was humming along. And I drove right up to our old house, and Lord, everything had changed. And it struck me so funny, 'cause I sure do look just the same. Oh, but I try hard not to blame all this running around. That's just how these things pan out when you're living on tips, the compliments, and a dive on the east side of town. Last night I dreamed again about North Carolina. I had me a new name just to pass it around. I lied to the waitress and told her I was from Texas. With the tip of my hat, tipped her a 20 and rolled out of town, singing songs about old John Henry and all those rails that he had to drive. All in all the while, the engine rolling behind. Oh, but I try hard not to blame all this running around. It's just how these things pan out when you're living on tips and compliments and a dive on the east side of town. Thanks, man. Something close to that. I feel like there was at least a couple words that were either repeated. You know, yeah. People are like, "Oh, you got to play the same chorus. The chorus has got to be the same every time." It's like, no, it does not. But then that like really screws you when you're like, when you change it every time. You're like, oh shit, you know, you got to remember it the right time and the right way every time. But your alternative ability is to fall back on one of the other choruses, so it's all right.
It's always the first ones that you write, first record, and then
Right.
like the newest ones where you're like,
You're like, oh, never mind. Yeah, totally not.
I sang the second verse first. Whatever.
Luckily, I didn't swap any verses. Choruses, though, man, kill me every time.
I'll play you one of these new ones. I wrote this with a buddy of mine, Brian Douglas Phillips, and he's a very talented producer and musician out of Austin. He's worked a lot with guys like David Ramirez and Natalie Price, a great friend of mine. And I think he's done some stuff with Grace.
Nice. I love Grace, man. She is so wonderful. And the people you just mentioned a second ago. But yeah, Grace is a special place.
Yeah, so this one, funny story about this one. So I played at Main Street Crossing in Tomball, and like I said, I get some ideas from relationships that didn't really work out. But I'm still really good friends with this girl that I dated for a little while, and I introduced this song in a certain way every time, right? And I mentioned the relationship, and I kind of talk about why it led to that. That night, her parents bought tickets and sat like right there, and I'm like, "Oh shit! How do I change this story 30 minutes before I gotta go on stage so I don't give them, you know, all the details about the relationship and just can kind of smile and nod and be like, it was a good one. I still like it. We're cool." But I pulled it off. I don't know how, but they weren't mad. They still kind of said hello afterward, but. That's a strange thing when the
At least it was somebody else's parents and not like necessarily your parents, you know,
right.
Because like, damn, you're like, really?
My mom doesn't like the way I introduce songs anyway. She tells me all the time. She's like, you gotta switch it up, man. People are gonna think you're undateable or something. But yeah, this is one that I wrote for right at the tail end of that one. That time when you thought that I was sleeping, I heard you tell your mama on the phone that I can never give you what you needed, and maybe you'd be better off alone. Maybe I forgot about your birthday, got a little lost on my way home. And maybe I don't ever say the right things. Maybe I don't listen, 'cause 'cause I already know if I'm everything you say I am, and your bags are packed and waiting by the door, if the game is really over, then why are we keeping score? Why are we keeping score? I don't wanna hear that it needs fixing. You don't wanna hear me stumbling. At 2 a.m. I'm too gone to remember. Oh, I bet you won't let me forget. If I'm everything you say I am, if your bags are packed and waiting by the door, if the game is really over, then why are we keeping score? Why are we keeping score? If I'm everything you say I am, if your bags are packed and waiting by the door, if the game is really over, then why are we keeping score? Why are we keeping score? Yeah, why are we keeping score? Thank you.
Wonderful song. That's a cool tune.
Ooh, yes. Feed the front line every week. Since the shutdown, the Duck, with your help, has been able to deliver food to the frontline workers. You can contribute at theduckhouston.com. This is really cool. I've seen this on Facebook quite a bit. Frontline workers being able to come and get some of this fantastic food this kitchen staff is fantastic.
It's pretty true.
It's always a treat to not only be able to come out here and play on the stage, but come out here and get some of the food and some of the fine drinks behind the bar. Thank y'all so much. Thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate it. But yes, the frontline workers and supporting them. So theduckhouston.com. Please visit that and contribute, and please continue to support. I know we all have, there's some different opinions out there on how this all is. But the one thing you can't ignore is that there are people that are still getting sick, and there are people that are still putting in very long hours to make sure that our family and friends are safe and taken care of. So please visit theduckhouston.com and donate some meals to some frontline workers.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously there's nothing wrong with that, regardless of what side you're on, I mean? There are people that will benefit from this, and these folks are there to put that out there for you. So nothing at all wrong with doing that. I got a song that I wrote, I guess I wrote this on New Year's Day, sitting outside. I usually do like a New Year's Eve show, which I was not doing. And so I was sitting there had some champagne. Baby was asleep, right? And I was thinking about this night right before then. It might have even been a night or two before. My wife and I were sitting outside just kind of looking at the moon and thinking about stuff. And it was kind of like, feeling that, regardless of where we were in the world, personally, we felt like we were kind of like passing, a lot of the angst and the initial kind of like frustration, was starting to get out of the way, not gone, so I wrote this song singing about that, and also like similarly on a grander scale, like how we found each other in the first place, and that as it always happens with folks, is that, you know, you're one out of, you know, a million people in the universe or whatever, and somehow or another, you know, your stories find a way to interconnect. And I don't know, they typically come after some sort of period of trial and tribulation, you know. And so, you know, there's always good things to happen after the bad things, kind of, is what I was thinking about. And hopefully the fact that I changed this to capo up 5 frets won't mess with my idea of how this song is supposed to go, but we will see. That is left to be determined, I guess, you know. Clouds are passing through the cold, the brightest moon is shining through. You know, I swear it looks as close to me as you, like the stars inside a telescope might do. Thank God we're closer. 'Cause down here below, where the distance lies in inches, feet and pillow, and we've seen the things that microscopes can't show, and our worlds collide in ways the eyes can't measure, some sunken treasure. 'Cause love was hiding somewhere inside itself until we weren't, and banished every thought that made us quiver, and told us there had never been a sun. 'Cause now we're finding all the threads that held our lonely ships together, kept us sailing on through stormy winter. We're just fashioning a rope to be the one to tie the knot that cannot be undone. The clouds are passing through the cold, the brightest moon is shining through. You know, I swear it looks as close to me as you, like the stars inside a telescope might do. Thank God we're closer. It's a short song. Which should totally be capable on the 5th fret. I tried to do it on the open string at the old quarter, one of the only other kind of like semi-in-person things I did recently, and I was like, why do I feel like Leonard Cohen?
I'll play this one just because I got Matt here with me, and this was one of those songwriter nights. We were hanging out in the backyard, and it was my first night there, so of course I'm with Matt and Tommy Lewis and Sean.
It was so much
They're
fun.
like, well, do you have an idea for a song? And you're like, oh, yes, but you don't really want to share. But I used to travel a lot for work, and I was at the airport in Atlanta, and I overheard this conversation between family members about a World War II veteran that they had in the family. And, you know, as a songwriter, just listening to these little pieces of information, it really stuck with me, and I wanted to write a song about it. And, you know, long story short, he was boxing while he was also in the Navy. It was during World War II, and he ended up making it home because he was, you know, doing certain things like having boxing matches and not really being on the ship while they were patrolling. And it just so happened that that ship went down during an accident. I don't think it was in combat. But he made it home, and then he ended up passing away working at the same factory that his dad had worked at basically his whole life. And I thought, this guy was a badass, I mean, he served his country, and he did his thing, and he was a fighter, and, he ended up dying in that factory fire trying to help other people out, so. And I will never meet this family. But I don't know, maybe the song will get out there somewhere in the universe. But Matt helped me with this one. So you see on the back of the record, the writer's credit has like 5 names. Because everybody had a piece to it. Yeah.
That's how it is on my last album too, man, from that same stuff.
Shipped out with the Navy in the spring of 42. Young and full of wonder, old enough to know what he might get into. Out on the Pacific, his captain called him lightning when he fought that army boy. He said barstools broke like thunder, saw a left and then an overhand right. And that's when the lightning would strike. He said, you're gonna serve your country, and son, I got a plan for you. You can see this war from a different point of view. Fight like you're meant to do. His daddy worked the day shift at the plant 6 days a week. He changed to rum from whiskey. He said that's what his sailor son would drink. He thought it might be lucky. He listened every Friday through his old tweed radio, wishing he was in the corner when lightning started moving slow. And he'd send his prayers to Mary. She knew what it was like to have a son against the ropes. Lightning was fighting for his country, and he knew what he had to do. He saw that war from a different point of view. Fight like he's meant to do. So lightning, keep the fire together, and now with a jabbing body blow, you hear the crowd start roaring when they see your shoulder roll. Slip and step like thunder, throw a left and then a right. The skies above will part, and fires of heaven then ignite and collide. That's how lightning strikes. When the war was over and lightning safely made it home, not much to show from Uncle Sam except 32 and oh, he fought a different battle than his brothers who went down with the boat. And that great plant fire 46 started on the loading floor. They said he got as many as he could before going for one more. He always thought he had something to prove. He ran back through the smoke. It took 10 men to hold his daddy back. They wouldn't let him through. and they laid to rest the fighter fighting like he was meant to. So lightning, keep the fire to guessing now with a jabbing body blow. And you'll hear the crowd start roaring when they see your shoulder roll. Slip and step like thunder, throw your left and then a right. The clouds above will part and fires of heaven then ignite and collide. Oh, collide. That's how lightning strikes. Shipped out with the Navy in the spring of '42. Earned a pair of golden gloves, some scars, and a couple cheap tattoos. Thank you.
Man, I remember when you brought that song, everybody was like, oh. Yeah, this guy's all right, you know. Like, we don't know what to say except I probably said something, right? We were like, oh, you should probably move that word or add this word. He was probably. I feel like he rightly said no, which probably made us friends even more, honestly, which I love. It's like, are you sure you don't want to add this word? I'm pretty sure it's good. It's like, yeah, you're probably right, It was a tough crowd, but like lots of fun though, because like it's really hard. You take yourself real seriously writing songs sometimes, and sometimes you need like your friends to be like, psh, that's dumb, and they're right, You're like, oh man, whoa, I got so deep inside myself, and sometimes, we need that stuff. And then sometimes stuff comes out just great the way it is, such as that particular tune. And people bring a comment, and they're like, everybody else looks at them, which was probably me at the time, and I said, man, you're the wrong one. That song is fine. Well, so I'll play a co-written song, too. I'm going to see if I can remember how to play this one. My buddy Brian Hudson, I had this idea for a song, and like he had written this tune called like Modern Man, which was like, it just said all these things that I wanted to say, and I just really loved it, and I started to like kind of cover it and stuff, and then I started to have my own ideas about what that song meant to me and different things, and so I was traveling through New Orleans on this tour, and I called him up. I was like, hey, are you free, I got this song we should write. And so we got in this park, and like kind of I told him the idea about it and what I had, and we wrote it. And then I like hardly ever played it. I put it on this album, it was like, and I never played it at all because it was like a band song, and it felt kind of weird. But it feels like a kind of song for now in some ways. So I don't know. See what you think. I got a lot of protest songs I feel like I can't play anymore because I wrote them in a weird way. Like I wrote them in a way like I feel like they're going to be misinterpreted, like in a way I don't want them to be these days. And I feel like maybe hopefully this one doesn't do that. So that's kind of why I'm trying to like rejuvenate it in a way, because I can't play some of these other ones because they're like, oh, do you mean like QAnon? I'm like, I don't, honestly. Sorry, And so in order to avoid that, I'm going to try to like revive some of these other ones. So see if this works out. Simple story. Time time drifts by. Should at least get that first couple chords right, you know, right? Sorry, I don't play that chord much throughout this whole song, and I wasn't even looking down. A simple story. Time drifts by. Lights on the horizon getting near. But in that changing, some things die. Sweet songs we may never get to hear again. So find a payphone and call me collect. Try to do anything without being tracked. You can't do it. Sleep as sound as your grandparents did. Save the world for your grandchildren's kids. You can't do it anymore. Dog-eared pages, precious lines, information hiding on the shelf, obligations, tensions high, trying to live like the strangers on the hill. So take a picture and call it your life. Sell your soul for a handful of eyes. You can't do it. Spill the ink out and cover the page. Put the demons back into the cage. You can't do it anymore. When the world ends with a whimper, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do now? When the dark stares back, the screens go black. Cut the cables and turn out the lights. Feeling around for the needle's disguise. You can't do it. Tear the mountains down into the sea. Smash the windows and head to the streets. You can't do it anymore. Out and cover the page. Put the demons back into the cage. That's like a full band song. I never play at all. But it's fun to try to give it a shot. I mean, like power chords and open notes and stuff, you know. Very un-singer-songwritery, but... yeah.
So I'm gonna do this one just to kind of wrap up my time, but I'm from the Rio Grande Valley, and I love being from that area. I grew up in a farming family. Both sides of my family, one did a lot of the farming, the other side did a lot of the trucking and the transporting. So growing up out there and having grandfathers who worked for themselves and really worked hard, and all my uncles the same. And I remember being old enough to think I knew everything as a kid. And I had he was my mom's cousin, and he's out there, and I know he he was a full-time firefighter, and it's dusty and it's hot, and they're harvesting. And I remember being like, why are you out here? You have a full-time job. You're a firefighter. I know. I've seen you in uniform, and he just said, sometimes as a man, you do things just so that it's enough. And I never forgot it. And I don't know if he ever remembers saying it, because, men a few words, if it's one line a year, you get it. And it stuck with me. And I got married, and I had a son, and it just came right back to memory. And it was like, sometimes we do things that's enough. And I imagined my grandfather getting up every morning, and the conversation that he would have had with my grandmother right before he started his day.
Honey, I'm going to try and sell a load of something that I harvested early in the morning before you were up. And I left some coffee warming for you in the pot, 'cause I know you'll need it early in the morning when the kids get up. So would you say a little prayer that it yields just enough to be enough? If you don't mind, dear, could I ask you for another day when you keep it all together and pray for clear weather while I'm away? And I know this season has been harder than the one before, but I'll work it even longer to try to one day afford not to have to say a little prayer that it's enough to be enough. Enough to make it through another long winter and try to help my brother out. His farm has been in better days than it's in now. If we can make it to another hot summer, it'll be our Independence Day, when we won't have to worry if the kids will be okay. We'll say a little prayer and give thanks that it's enough to be enough. Headed home now, and every mile marker seems to serve to remind me of all the little prayers you said over the years, that my truck may make it and I can somehow outrun the storm, and that all this time away from you is worth fighting for. So won't you wear down another couple beads on that rosary for me, and pray that it's enough to make it through another long winter. Try to help my brother out. His farm has been in better days than it's in now. If we can make it to another hot summer, it'll be our Independence Day, when we won't have to worry if the kids will be okay. We'll say a little prayer and give thanks that it's enough. Say a little prayer and give thanks that it's enough to be enough. Thank you so much.
Good stuff, man.
I'm Alex Coba. This is Mr. Matt Harlan.
How's it going?
Live from the Mucky Tuck,
Street,
Norfolk
right.
Street.
Live from Norfolk Street, as they call it.
Thank you again, you guys, for coming out and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
And thank you, everybody, for jumping on and watching on Facebook and on my Facebook. And I think you're streaming from yours as well, right?
I believe so too, man. You know, it's one of those things that modern technology, you know. But no, completely thank you. I mean, like, there are so many things, you know, to do. Like, it's funny. It's almost like if there were a million things to do before we entered this time, you know, now it's like, well, used to be limited to Houston or to San Antonio or to Austin or to Denver or to wherever you were. And now it's like, well, you could be in New York, you could be in Paris, you could be wherever you want to be right now. And we're glad that you tuned in for a second here to this little spot off Norfolk Street, down the street from Cactus Music, and you know, all the Houston icons and different things. You know, that place that brings a lot of internationally known singer-songwriters to our particular city that they might otherwise skip over. You know, and we, as, you know, up and comers or whatever we are, coming through this stuff, wanting to do this sort of stuff, appreciate it in a way that places like this, you know, supported our heroes and heroines, you know, and to not support them seems like sacrilegious in a way, you know. To see these sort of things, you know, be endangered in any way is terrible, and a whole unintended, unidentified side effect of some of these sort of things. You know of all your friends that might not be doing so great because their jobs got canceled and stuff like that, but like the culture getting completely removed is a huge thing. It'll be a huge blow to anybody, you know, the places where these things exist. And I guess I wrote this song as if as we're going out or whatever, to play here for the first time. I got the note that I don't remember if it was the Front Porch Society gig or if it was an actual proper gig on the inside for the first time, but I remember I was stuck in traffic and I was going to come play at the Mucky Duck for the first time, and I was so excited. And I heard this interview on the radio about some dude who played Mozart for a living, and somehow he made it interesting. And I turned off the radio and wrote this song and was like, I'm going to go play this at the Mucky Duck tonight. So I'm going to play it at the Mucky Duck tonight. And thank you guys for coming around, and I hope to see you guys sometime soon. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Wonderful songs, wonderful songwriter, excellent vocalist and guitar player. And thank you, everybody at the Duck, for keeping these things going on. Ted, for setting all this stuff up, and you guys for coming out here and listening. Appreciate it a lot. Mozart will always be Mozart, just like disco will always be dead. Me, as long as I'm living and changing, with each drop of sweat that rolls off my head. And the falling will always be certain, but the landing don't have to be hard. Yes, and sometimes you'll find you're knocked down a level. You free to decide who you are, 'cause a new day is dawning with every day's end. We might be returning to clay, so make use of your lungs while you can. One thing I've read is true, the shade's bound to close on you. Let another leaf fall, all you broke down high rollers. See you the next time around. You can never go back where you came from. All the dirt roads are highways now, friend. And it gets me to thinking, this has already happened, and I'm just passing through once again. And that sign by the side of the railroad ain't changed since I lived here, it seems. There's rust that keeps growing at the speed of a century. The grandkids might know what I mean, 'cause a new day is dawning with every day's end. We might be returning to clay, so make use of your lungs while you can. One thing I've read is true, the shade's bound to close on you. Turn another leaf over, all you broke down high rollers, and see you the next time around. 'Cause you know Mozart, he will always be Mozart, a young man who went and laid himself down. Me, as long as I'm living, I'm changing. With each drop of sweat that rolls off of my brow. Yeah, as long as I'm living, I'm changing. With each drop of sweat that rolls off of my brow.
Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it.